I just came back from one of the most amazing trips of my life. I went to Costa Rica for my honeymoon for a whole week. I fell in love with their nature, their culture, and their architecture. I felt so inspired by their houses that I just had to recreate them in The Sims 4 for you today. So without further ado, let's buckle up because this one's gonna be a long one. Let's get into the speed build. Okay, you guys, so we are starting out on the 64 by 64 lot in Sulani. I felt like Sulani obviously was the best choice because it's very lush and green. It's more island vibes than what Costa Rica is, but I think this is the best that we can get in The Sims. And this build consists of 4 houses. So I made a 4 little house community and I replicated the houses to the best of my ability just based off of what I saw in person. Now, these houses aren't the ones that are super luxurious and modern and new. These are actually the ones that I felt the most inspired by, which were the older, I would classify these as more like lower middle class homes that are just very old, probably passed down through generations and are constantly being upkept and repainted and having a lot of maintenance done to them. So I wanted to make these homes feel very tropical, but also very lived in and used. So that's what we did for these builds today, you guys. Also, one of the things that really stood out to me was how colorful they all are. They were pinks, they were blues, they were reds, like, and it just complemented the greenery around it so freaking well. So I wanted to replicate that in The Sims 4 with these 4 little houses, this Costa Rican community that I built. There's a lot of patio spaces you'll notice that I'm adding to these houses. So I really wanted to keep a lot of activities outside and make this feel more of a community to where they're sharing activities or skill building items, because that to me was really the core of Costa Rica, was that they just care so much about their communities and their people and their nature and their environment, which really was inspiring to see. So these houses are very tight knit. They are going to be complemented with a lot of greenery. Of course, Costa Rica is a rainforest. It rains a lot. So with a lot of rain comes a lot of greenery. With a lot of greenery comes a lot of bugs. And let me tell you, I saw the craziest looking bugs I've ever seen in my life. And also like the most beautiful wildlife I've ever seen, which I will get into in a little bit. But again, I wanted to recreate that kind of like outdoor kind of coziness that they really encompassed. So you'll also notice that these houses are relatively small. The houses that I'm referring to were very small. They are a 1-story house and oftentimes had multiple people living there. These houses, there's 2 houses that I made for families, and then there's 2 that I made for more of like a couple or like a single sim. But the idea was to make these very old. They've been repainted. The roofs have been repaired, and they don't just hire any kind of, repair service. They actually do it themselves. So, they're up there fixing their own roofs, repainting their walls. While I was just admiring the houses, I acknowledged that people were also outside, just like either repainting or there was some kind of maintenance being done to these houses. So I really wanted to encompass that in The Sims, as if these houses are constantly evolving. They are older. The weather there is very aggressive. It rains quite a lot. It is extremely humid, so that does a lot of wear and tear on these houses, causing a lot of frequent repairs. So that was another thing that I really wanted to focus on in these houses, to make them just feel very weathered and used. And actually, I used this new paint from the Royal Pack that has like this green kind of dirt at the bottom, which I think is very accurate to the houses that I saw. It's concrete with some weathering on it. So, and each one of these houses has like its own really pretty rainbow color scheme. Some of the houses are yellow. We have this really cool red and blue one, and this one is kind of like a salmon with a green roof. I wanted them to all have their own types of personalities, since these are kind of customized to the families that live there. This first house, we are doing a giant outdoor patio with lots of garden pots. So one of the things about Costa Rica that I really, really loved was that they are almost completely sustainable themselves. They grow their own food, they have their own animals, like live off their land as much as humanly possible. And so I made sure for every single one of these houses, they had some kind of garden box, some kind of farm animal living with them. I even added like a chicken coop with the idea that the chickens are kind of running around everywhere, which is what you would commonly see in Costa Rica. I added on one of the houses, it's like a little barn area for some goats and some sheeps. So that's really cool too to have those animals running around as well. This first house is really cute. I created this with the idea that it's going to be an elderly woman and she has maybe her two grandchildren living with her, two grandsons. You guys know I love a lore Sims story. It has to have some kind of drama. So in some way, somehow, grandma got custody of the kids and they're living with her, which I thought was really cool. So I wanted this house to feel very put together, but also kind of like an organized chaos. So you'll see a lot of clutter items in this house, but it's also kind of like we got some old lady furniture in there just to kind of more speak to that storyline a little bit. I liked using this dining room table instead of an island in the kitchen. It just felt more like homemade for some reason. So, they need an island. They can't build an island in there, so why not put a kitchen table in there? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the mindset that I wanted this to go with. Also, everything doesn't really like match too much in this house. I wanted to feel like these are items that they've kind of accumulated over the years or have been passed down to them. So everything is just kind of a little bit random in the sense that it doesn't really match exactly to everything, but that was very intentional. We've got a lot of concrete floors and tiled floors. There was no carpet. I mean, that would be so silly to have carpet in the rainforest. So their houses were very much made out of concrete. I think that's very typical for Spanish styled houses. So again, I wanted to replicate that here. I didn't actually obviously go inside anybody's house. So I'm just kind of replicating this more based on like a Spanish direction of what I think would be accurate inside of a Spanish home. And I also added these really cool wall decals that I think came with life and death. And I wanted it to feel like the walls were kind of weathering on the inside as well. So maybe some of the paint has gone up and you can see the brick underneath. So I added that throughout the entire house to just further make it feel older, worn down from the rainforest, and they're just actively upkeeping these homes. And now we are going into the grandson's rooms. I used this really cool bunk bed combination with a double bed on the bottom for the teenage son or the teenage grandson and the child grandson as well. So they kind of share a room. Again, wanted to keep it very colorful, and I also wanted this room to feel like as if they decorated it themselves. Obviously, they're not going to have a fancy interior designer come in and make sure that everything matches. So everything's a little bit random. There are some, holes in the wall with missing paint. I covered up all the windows because it gets very toasty in Costa Rica. Not only is it toasty, but it's extremely humid. So want to make sure that the weather stays outside. So I've covered up all the windows, added a desk with a lot of clutter items. We've got a guitar for maybe the teenage boy. He likes to play the guitar, a mirror, and I added these posters everywhere as if they hung up the posters themselves. I even added the posters like on top of the bunk bed as if the kid was like putting up the posters himself, just to give it some more personality. And again, it's very worn down and used. And here we have the bathroom. So I used this sink from Laundry Day, which I actually love the way this sink looked. And I used this throughout all of the builds just because, again, it feels like so homemade and as if they installed the sink themselves. And so I wanted to make sure that was used and everywhere. And the colors just really matched with the color scheme really well. But yeah, nothing too crazy in the bathroom. I did add a shower. Again, everything looks very makeshift, like they kind of just installed it themselves and kind of ran with it. Another thing you'll notice too is that I'm using a lot of wall sconces and it makes the area, like makes the house look a little bit darker inside. I couldn't really imagine them installing ceiling lights for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I'm sure there's Costa Rican houses that have ceiling lights in them, but I just felt like it would make more sense as if they had lots of lamps everywhere, wall sconces, as opposed to having like a traditional US ceiling nipple is what, they call them. So I made sure to add those. The kitchen I absolutely fell in love with. Again, with that table being there and using it as an island just makes just made sense in my brain, okay? We're adding a lot of clutter items, we've got some bowls of things, lots of plants. A big thing was lots of greenery. I wanted to make sure there were lots of potted plants outside and inside the houses because Costa Rica is just so lush and they love their environment. They take really good care of it. So I would imagine that they would bring that greenery into their homes. With the wall decals, it just looks so freaking cool. I love the way this looks. Added some pots on top of the stoves. I've done that a couple times throughout this build. And on the outside out here, again, I wanted to make sure that the outside spaces were being used. We have a grill out there. We've got a bucket for water balloons, just lots of activities for the kids to do and also for grandma to do as well. We have lots of flower boxes for growing fruits and vegetables that they will be eating themselves. I wanted to make this feel like very sustainable on their own. Again, lots of potted plants everywhere. Grandma really be gardening outside, okay? Also, I added these wind chimes, which I totally forgot were in the game, and I haven't used them in so long, but I used wind chimes everywhere. I think it just really added to that like tropical aesthetic. I ended up actually adding foundation to this house. It just felt a little awkward. Like all their houses didn't really have a foundation from what I saw anyways, but I added one anyways because I just wanted it to have a little bit more separation from the ground. But now we're moving on to my favorite part, which is the landscaping. I had so much fun landscaping this to the best of my knowledge of what the Costa Rican landscape looks like. I wanted it to feel, again, there's lots of flowers, just random wildflowers everywhere, so much greenery. So I used a lot of plants from Sulani or Island Living, and I weirdly enough, there's a lot of items that I've used from the royalty pack. So I used their hydrangeas, I think that's what they're called. And then these flowers, these really tall flowers, I believe are from Enchanted by Nature. I could be completely wrong. I honestly do not know. Guys, this is my very first voiceover and speed build of my life, so apologies if things are incorrect. But needless to say, I did use a lot of packs in this. I was going to try to limit it, but with how much randomness I wanted to incorporate, I felt like I really couldn't limit myself, so I kind of went a little crazy. But here, I guess we're moving on to the second house, which is a really pretty blue and red themed house, and let me tell you, I really ran with that red theme, okay? This house is very red. Whoever lives here loves the color red and is very committed to it. This house was a little bit awkward because it's so small, but I did add a lot of outdoor space. So there's a completely enclosed patio in the back that I added some skill building items out there. I added a flower arranging station and an easel and some garden pots, I think. So again, I wanted to make sure that they were using a lot of outdoor space because I feel like that's very true to Costa Rican culture. This kitchen, I actually really love it looking back on it. It's so cute and tiny, and then that sink from laundry day just really, really makes it look so much more, I don't know, maybe I'm not saying the right word, but just feels like homemade and like they made it themselves, and it just looks so good. And those red chairs, ugh, the red chairs are so pretty. I don't think I kept those. I don't think I did, but those were really nice. The living room situation in here was quite a nightmare because they also have that side patio door. So I was really trying to fit a tiny little living room in there. And I kind of made it work with this really cute base game red couch and then these bookshelves from, oh my gosh, that freaking Book Nook pack. That's what it's called, Book Nook pack. Little tiny TV. Again, with the living spaces, I wanted to make technology very limited because I don't see them sitting inside watching TV all day, girl. They are outside enjoying the beautiful nature. So that, and then this flooring, this terracotta colored floor just really was the icing on the cake for me. It looked really nice. That rug, I think, is from Life and Death. Again, just some random packs that had like random items that I think just look so good in here. Lots of clutter items. Of course, we have pots and pans on the walls. We've got dishes. I added a lamp right here actually too in the kitchen, which I've never done before. But again, like I really wanted to be specific with the light sources and not just have like one nipple light on top of the ceiling. You know what I mean? I wanted it to have a purpose, and it is a little bit darker on the inside, which I kind of like that it's darker. I mean, again, it gets really hot, so I imagine they try to keep their houses as cool as possible. So lots of lamps everywhere and wall sconces, lots of curtains on the windows. The bathrooms are pretty much the same throughout the entire build. I went crazy with those sinks from Laundry Day, which I think just made so much sense, and also, like, the little clutter around them just really adds to, the charisma of these houses. So, yeah, I love putting a pot on the stove. I just think it's such a cute little touch. So, we've got a red pot on the stove to match all the red things throughout this house. I know I said in the beginning that I wanted things to, like, not match, but for this house, there was just too many red items that just looked good together. I had to clump them all up and make it a little bit more cohesive. So maybe the Sim that lives here is very, maybe more OCD about the colors. They, like, wanna make sure that everything matches. And on the outside out here, I decided to add a cool little fire pit, and the idea with this community is that they are a community, and they probably invite each other over for gatherings, for a bonfire, for drinks, for, you know, dinners and whatnot, and they take care of each other, which I noticed in Costa Rica, they really do care about each other. So I wanted to add a lot of community items as well. So we have a bonfire in the back that I'm assuming they would invite people over. Ugh, this beautiful, lush greenery that I just kind of slayed. I'm not gonna lie, I slayed that. Lots of green grass, just random patches of grass and flowers. These beautiful, beautiful palm trees from Sulani, I think just match so perfectly along with that flower tree. Just looks so freaking good. It looks amazing. And very true to what I saw in Costa Rica, which is my favorite part. I'm trying to fill in some of the greenery just in the areas. I also wanted it to blend into this lot, so I made sure I was very strategic with where I'm placing the greenery. One of my biggest pet peeves is, like, when you're placing a Sims lot and, like, the terrain paint just, like, cuts off on the border of the lot, like, that drives me crazy, so I really like to, like, make it blend into the outside greenery so that the lot actually makes sense in the location that you place it, so was made sure to do that. I also found this really cool, like, tiled thing. I put it on the roof over there, but I think that's from, like, high school years or something random like that, but it looked so freaking cool up there, so I kept it up there. Now moving on to the 3rd house, which is this very green house, and for this one, I'm thinking there's, like, a young couple that lives here, maybe somebody who got the house passed down from grandma or an aunt or uncle, and they just have this house, so they moved into it. I was originally gonna make this a two-bedroom house, but it just the space wasn't spacing, and I also kicking myself because I made this one a bit of an awkward shape with that, like, diagonal room. I ended up turning it into a kitchen, which is probably one of my favorite kitchens I've ever made. We'll get into it in a sec. It completely changes from where it's at right now, but it's more of an oak kitchen. Again, and when you're building, like, in a diagonal room in The Sims, like, The Sims kinda has, like, a freaking panic and, like, doesn't know how to place, the cabinets or, like, the countertops correctly, so I had to do a lot of alt placing in here, but I ended up filling in that awkward gap with that cool sink again from Laundry Day that I just think looks so nice. Green stove, of course, matches all the greenery, the green accents throughout the build. Did lots of cabinetry. I don't know if they have this much cabinetry in their houses. I would assume so for storage, but I think it really looks nice. And these cabinets and counters, I think, are from what's it called? The equestrian pack, the horses pack. I don't remember what it's called. Um, but that one. And I used this really big table as well from the horse pack too. And the green chairs I think just looks so freaking nice. Again, like I wanted these buildings to feel very like a community. So they're inviting their neighbors over for dinner or for lunch or whatnot. And everybody's gathering around the table and having a good time. And moving on to this living room over here, I didn't want to add a lot of technology again. Like I added just like a little radio and no TV in here. I feel like the couple that lives here, they really thrive outside. So you'll see in a minute too that I added like a giant patio in the back, adds even more living space that I feel like they would be in more than just sitting inside watching TV. So added lots of pictures. I feel like these are pictures from places they've been or, you know, relatives or whatnot. And then outside, I actually added like a lot of cat stuff because one of the cool things I saw in Costa Rica was that all of their pets were very well taken care of. However, they did run the streets. But it was really cool, like, that I didn't see, like, a pet that was, like, any kind of harm's way. They were very healthy looking, very well taken care of, and they all had collars on. That's how you knew that they belonged somewhere, but they just roamed. They walked down the streets, they crossed the streets, they sniffed some grass, like, they were just kinda out and about, and I'm assuming they would come home to eat and sleep and whatnot, so but during the day, they are out exploring, so for this house, I feel like they are taking care of some kitties, and, the cats, maybe they have, like, 3 or 4 cats that just kind of roam the island or roam the area and, hunt birds and whatnot and have live their best little kitty life. Honestly, if I was a cat, I would love to live in Costa Rica. Like, you know how much stimulation they have just being out there with all the bugs and the birds and the lizards and everything? I would love that. So I wanted to make sure this house felt like they were taking care of the cats. So there's some cat bowls outside, there's a tree. Oh, and then also with this house, I added a stable. So there's a stable there for the little mini goats and the mini sheeps, and it's not enclosed or anything like that. Again, the idea is to have the animals kind of running free throughout the community, bugging the neighbors and whatnot. So I really wanted to encompass that here, and I think it turned out so freaking good. Again, this house is very green. I wasn't gonna be so matchy-matchy with everything, but maybe this house is maybe it's like they kind of recently remodeled it because they got it handed down to them by grandma or something, and they repainted, they added new flooring, new furniture, and everything's very matchy, so I feel like this is like a newer couple that lives here. And out here, we're doing the patio that I just talked about, which is absolutely so fun. I added even like an outdoor kitchen space. Oh, and the laundry day stuff. We'll get to the laundry day in a little bit, but I used the clotheslines and I didn't do it on the other building. I go back later and add the clotheslines, but I wanted the clotheslines to look like they were almost like connected off of the walls and stuff. So you'll see in a sec where I add that. But here's the outdoor kitchen space. Again, adding just some more cluttered items, randomly a lot of things from the new Royal Pack that just I think makes sense in there. I think maybe because it's meant to look a bit more medieval and that kind of just matches the industrial, not industrial, yeah, the industrial vibe that I'm going for. But yeah, I added this basketball hoop out there for the teenage son or the child or whatever. Okay, and here's where I added the clothesline, which I think is so freaking cool out the back over there. And it just makes sense. It's just everything is meant to be lived in. Everything has a purpose. Everything has a use. And, that's one of the things I loved, but okay, I do wanna read through some really fun facts that I learned about Costa Rica to kind of share what I've learned, but number 1 being the coolest thing that I saw that was actually made me really surprised and, like, kind of rethink what we do here in the US, but they abolished their military in 1948. They do not have a military. Granted, I did look more into it, and they do rely heavily on the US Coast Guard, so without the US, they would be kind of screwed, but they really have no reason to have a big military. Costa Rica is a place that actually doesn't have, like, a lot of desirable resources for other countries, so they really do keep to themselves and mind their own business. So instead, they use those funds to put towards healthcare. So they have free healthcare for anybody and everybody, and they also put it towards education. So they have amazing school systems, great healthcare. I think they're actually considered the happiest country in the world just because they really take care of each other and they care about each other. They also put a lot of that funding towards environmental research and protection because they are very serious when it comes to their wildlife and their nature, which is another thing that I absolutely adored. They are so protective of it, and that's because I think it was in the 70s is when a lot of their rainforests were facing deforestation. People were coming in and tearing down their forests and they were disrupting ecosystems, and Costa Rica took hold of that and are actually actively growing back and recovering parts of their rainforests as we speak right now, which is amazing. And I had the wonderful opportunity of going to, oh my gosh, I'm gonna butcher the name. I'm gonna put it up on the screen because I don't want to butcher it, but I believe it's called Coca something Island. I'm gonna put that up on the screen. But I took an hour and a half boat ride all the way to the island, and as soon as you get off, you are greeted with a police officer with a very big pew pew gun, And they basically look through all of your stuff, any bags that you have, and if you have any kind of spray sunscreen, any kind of spray bug spray, or plastic water bottles, like they do not let you on their island. It is so protected and they are so strict. Our guide was telling us that it's really like they make their own rules there, you know, and it's because they care so much about their wildlife that lives there and the ecosystem, which I think is amazing. But once we got through the island, you're able to walk through the rainforest. Obviously, go with a guide. Don't really go by yourself if it's your first time. But the animals there are so well taken care of, and they're not really afraid of humans because they don't have a reason to be, because they're so well taken care of. So there's monkeys swinging from trees, there's sloths napping in the trees. Like I saw a tapir, I think it's called a tapir, which is this like weird pig looking thing with a long nose. I'll put a picture on the screen. But that was so freaking cool to see. And they're actually closely related to a horse. So it's not a pig, it's more of a horse. I don't know. But it was just absolutely amazing. The wildlife, they're really friendly and not afraid of you, and it's because they don't really have a reason to be, and that just makes me like want to cry. They're not afraid of us anymore. But it was just so freaking special to see. They do have a phrase in Costa Rica, which you may or may not know is called pura vida. Basically translates to pure life. So if you ever meet a local, it's a greeting, it's a goodbye, it's a thank you, it's a you're welcome. Like you just kind of say like pura vida, like anytime you know, pass a local or they'll say it to you. It just literally just means like pure life. Like just live your purest life. Like that is, and that really does encompass Costa Rica so much from what I've seen. And just to live their best life. And that's it. And you know what? There is actually an island. Is it an island? There's an area in Costa Rica where they consider it a blue zone, where the people there are so healthy and so happy that they actually, most of them live to be over 100 years old, which is incredible. And I think the US specifically in this time that we're in right now could take a lot of notes from Costa Rica, I think. But they definitely want to be left alone. They like leave the Costa Ricans alone, let them live their hippie amazing life with their nature and their sloths. Which, you know, sloths are actually not the animal of their country. It's actually a white-tailed deer, which is very random. I thought they have these beautiful animals like macaws, toucans, sloths, like these gorgeous animals you really can't find anywhere else in the world, and they chose a deer. Okay. Anyways, we listen and we don't judge, but it's really cool. So back to the build here. We are working on the final house, which is intended for a young couple with a little baby. I wanted to add some kind of toddler here so we can get like what a toddler would experience in Costa Rica, or at least in my mind, what a toddler would experience. Again, a lot of outdoor time. So the inside, I decorated it really, really well with a lot of decorations. We wanted it to feel very tight-knit and cozy. We got some fish on the wall. Maybe they like to go fishing and these are their best catches. Really cute kitchen. In the back, we have the toddler's room, which turns out really, really nice here in a second. I used these doors from the movie pack. Oh my gosh, it was an old pack. I don't remember what it's called. And I've never used them before, but in this house, it just really made sense. And I think they look so freaking good with the floors and the wall colors. It just looks so nice. In this bathroom, I actually extended it to make it bigger because there ain't no way we're just gonna have wait, did I not? I guess I didn't put a shower in here. I was gonna say there's no way we're not gonna have a shower, but I guess I only gave them a bathtub, which makes sense because they have a child. They have to clean their child. So, with bathtub in there, a nice big bathroom. Here's the master bedroom. Very, very cute. Very on theme with the red. I wanted to use a lot of dark colors. Everything matches in here. Lots of wall decor, and of course, lots and lots of greenery, lots of flowers, big curtains to keep the heat out. I did end up adding these these ceiling sconces. I don't know if they would have them in Costa Rica, but I think that they just matched the interior really nice. And here's the toddler's room, which I kind of kept this more of a neutral tone, nothing like super crazy. Again, I don't think that they would have like, you know, big rainbow magical modern rooms in Costa Rica. So I wanted it to feel like, again, like these things were homemade or they were passed down or they were thrifted or they were gifted to them or something. So it felt kind of random in there, but really nice. I use this cool table, this like I think it's called like a coffee table from the new Royal Pack. Again, the Royal Pack is like the most random items that just work so well in this, which was not expecting at all. Okay, outside I pulled these trucks from Debug. I ended up only keeping one truck from the Debug, but again, I wanted to keep at least like one vehicle out there because that was very true to Costa Rica. But out here I added a chicken coop, and it's not completely enclosed because the idea is that the chickens are going to be running around, the rooster's waking you up at 6 o'clock in the morning, like he just kind of does his thing. So I really wanted the wildlife to not wild it's not wildlife, the animals in general to just be and be part of the community. And I want everything to feel very freeing because that is the theme of Costa Rica. It's just everything is free, and not everything's free. Obviously, you have to pay to get there, but you know, everything is just if pure life. It's pure life. It's pura vida. Again, amazing greenery everywhere. These shrubs from Island Living really saved me here. I think that just like it's perfect and almost exactly like what I saw in Costa Rica. Beautiful tall palm trees. I bordered everything with these really pretty daisies, which I use in like every single one of my builds. It's like the most elite plant in The Sims. Lots of greenery everywhere. Super stunning. I added some toddler items in the back because the kid's outside, okay? The kid's not really inside unless it's thunderstorming. The kid's outside, the kid's playing with the boys next door. They are meeting up for bonfires in the middle of the community every day, and not every day, maybe every other night or whatever, to just kind of sit and gossip and talk about nature and life and living their best life, I guess. I don't know. But I'm pretty much finishing up the build here. I'm just adding a couple more details with some just random greenery. Again, I wanted this to feel so lush because if you ever have the privilege of visiting Costa Rica, you will realize as soon as you get off the plane that everything is this beautiful bright green color and beautiful flowers everywhere. There are gorgeous birds flying all over the place and just anywhere. But parrots, guys, like colorful parrots are just everywhere. And I really wanted this to encompass those vibes, and I really hope that I did. And again, if you guys want to download this on the gallery, I will have my username up right here for you guys to download and check it out. So without further ado, guys, let's do a little tour of my beautiful Costa Rican community. All right, you guys, we are in our beautiful Costa Rican village, and might I say, not to toot my own horn or anything, but this is gorgeous. There is so much detail that I've added into this build. Let's check it out. Let's start with the very first house over here. This is what the outside looks like. Imagine you're walking up to it. Actually, the path, wait, my terrain paint disappeared. Wait! No, 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 no. Oh my gosh, all my terrain paint that I did over here is gone. One moment while I fix that. That is so annoying. I know The Sims just updated, so I wonder if it's busted again. They do be updating this game, and it's just busted. So let me go through and fix all of my freaking terrain. Wait, that's so awkward. I'm mad. I'm mad. Wait, and it's even, oh my gosh, it's all busted. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. We're just gonna quickly just paint over this. Okay. Save. Goodness. Okay, let's try that again, shall we? So here is our first little house that we are going to go into. Let's see if I can slowly get there. All right, so going through the front doors, this is the interior. You're greeted with this gorgeous living room. Very cluttered and very nice. Over here we've got our beautiful kitchen area. Through this door back here, we have the toddler's room, which is really, really cute. Again, not super, super colorful. I wanted to keep it on theme with the Costa Rican vibes. So over here, we have a small little bathroom with a bathtub. And then back here, we have the master bedroom, which I think turned out really, really cute. And then over here in the back is our patio, one of the patios. So we have a cute little toddler slide over there. We have our chicken coop right here that's going to have lots of chickens, some play area, and of course lots of garden boxes for their gardening, which they do a lot of. We have a basketball hoop over here. And then moving on to the next house, this is the house meant for the elderly lady and her 2 grandsons. This is the front porch area. Again, guys, just standing here makes me feel like I'm in Costa Rica again. Just like all the overgrown greenery is just so nice. Going through their beautiful front door, we have this gorgeous entryway. We have this kitchen right over here. Wait, did my stuff not save? Oh, what? Wait, some things are missing. The Sims is being the Sims again. What? Why is this truck over here? I did not put that truck there. Okay, is everything back in here? Okay, cool. Perfect. So a lot of the stuff that I placed is actually gone now. Wonderful. We do love that. But there was a TV over here, and some clutter items. I guess all the clutter items that I like alt placed, I guess, got deleted, but whatever. It's meant to be cluttered, I guess. There's supposed to be a TV over there, but I don't know what happened to it. The living room, very, very nice. Over here we have just a small bathroom with some clutter. And then through this door, we've got the bedroom for the 2 boys, which I think is also missing some items. Perfect! You still get the vibe though. You still get the gist of it. It's just little clutter items that I guess got deleted. Whatever. I think there was a plant in that corner. Whatever. Perfect. And then over here outside, we have the beautiful patio area where they can do some cooking, play some marbles, have a picnic, invite the neighbors over. There's the kids' bikes, garden pots over here. And then moving on, let's see what else The Sims has deleted, shall we? Over here we have our next house, which is the 3rd house, I believe. And it's this beautiful red and blue colored house. Absolutely love the accent of a red. It looks so nice. Going through the front door, we are greeted with a gorgeous little living space. Nothing super crazy. Cute little cozy kitchen. Okay, my alt-placed items worked there, but for some reason they didn't work anywhere else. Perfect. Wonderful. And then through here we have just a little bathroom. And then we have a bedroom, the master bedroom. Again, I think there's like a single Sim that lives here. Got an easel outside in this back patio area, and we have a flower arrangement station where they probably grow their flowers in those flower pots. Going back through here. Okay, and then out this side patio, we have more little flower pots, and then we have this really cute, cozy area where you can do a little bonfire with some random chairs. Again, I wanted it to feel very homemade, so it's a little bit random. And I tried to attach the laundry line to the side of the house. I thought that was cool with some laundry outside. Okay, and then over here is the barn animals. So we have some goats and we have a little sheep over there. I even added like a place for horses to train around the barrels. If you wanted to get a horse here, you totally could, and just have it kind of free range. And we have our final little house. Very green, very cute. We've got a cat bowl in the front in case the kitties come around and they need some food. We got a little flower planter. And then through the front doors, you're greeted with this gorgeous kitchen. Nice big dining table for the neighbors to come over and whatnot. So added lots of clutter in here. I'm curious that my clutter all stayed in here but didn't in the other buildings, but whatever. Cute little, we have a nice living space over here to escape the thunderstorms and kind of hang out. Little bathroom with some cleaning supplies. And then back here we have the master bedroom, which I think turned out really nice. I used these curtains from the Love Struck pack, and I think it just complements the space so beautifully. And then out this back door, we have a cat tree for the kitties to come by, some bowls, and then we have this beautiful community area where they have kind of like an outdoor kitchen space. They can cook up some delicious food and serve it for everybody to eat. I add another clothesline back here, and here's their truck that they probably drive around, and their bicycle. All right, you guys, and that's it. That's the full tour. That is my little Costa Rican village. All right, you guys, I really hope you enjoyed my beautiful Costa Rican village speed build. If you guys want to see more, be sure to let me know down in the comments below, and also let me know if you are from Costa Rica and how accurate I got this. Did I do it correctly? Are there things that I should have done differently? Also, what are some cool things that I didn't know? I would love to learn more. Let me know down below, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye!